Welcome to the MKUltra show. I, of course, am your host, Carter M. Nelson. Got a great show for you guys tonight on this beautiful July 8th. Big news today. Big news, big stories. Everything's going down right now. So stay tuned. We're going to get into all of it. But before I start, I do want to say please go ahead, like, and subscribe. It greatly helps out the channel. So I deeply, deeply appreciate it. Thank you. But I'm not gonna hold off for too long. We got a couple of major stories tonight. One, the Iran war. It's completely back. I said it yesterday, but now there's no question about it with the recent statements from Mr. Donald Trump, the president. In other news, Graham Plattner, his race has completely fallen apart. His bid for Senate in Maine, it's not looking too hot. Not looking too hot at all. In fact, he has now dropped out. So, big news over there because that main race, that is going to be a crucial state for the Democrats to win if they want to either even out the Senate to make it 50-50 or if they want to hit that 51 number they're aiming for. So, very crucial race and we'll see how that goes and how that transpires in the coming days. Finally, we have seen the major consequences of the recent birthright citizenship decision made by the Supreme Court just last week. The consequences are already here. Big things going down in Texas. Disgusting behavior from a major medical institution that is handling things down there, where they are quite literally inviting foreigners to come here to have their kids. Is it for them to make a profit or is it for them to win more voters over for future Democratic races? We'll find out tonight. But before I hold off on getting into the story, let's go. Iran war. It's official. There is absolutely zero trust between Iran and United States negotiators. Yesterday, if you do recall, Iran made the decision to strike three different commercial vessels traveling through the Strait of Hormuz. This is something that I covered on the show last night. I then said on the show that the United States was undertaking what will be considered by today the biggest strike against Iran since the MOU was signed. What happened? Exactly what I said would happen. The biggest strike we've seen yet. Massive strikes all throughout last night targeting Iran, crushing blows to their military. And what happens next? Well, Iran goes ahead and strikes both Bahrain and Kuwait. So now we got this back and forth going, and guess what's new? We have now announced that we are continuing the strikes. In fact, throughout all of today, we've been continuing strikes against Iran, continuing them. And those strikes will be continued throughout the night. Likely, Iran, while I am speaking, is getting pummeled into the ground. So, the ceasefire, it's dead. It's completely dead, and it's no longer me just telling you it's dead. It's now Donald Trump saying it's dead. In an official statement, Donald Trump said that the ceasefire, as far as he considers it, is over. There is no longer any mutual trust between the United States and Iran. He stated in his official statement that negotiations are continuing. We still have negotiators trying to talk to Trump, trying to talk to Iran to figure out some kind of peace deal. However, Trump said that these negotiations aren't happening like they were before. He is taking control of the situation, and no longer will he have any faith in Iran to back their end of the deal. So, basically, the strike against these commercial vessels has led to the United States now having proper reasoning to fully be at war with Iran again. These can be used to boost public support for an actual invasion of Iran as well, including the continued strikes against the U.S. military bases in the surrounding territories, like I previously stated, with Bahrain and Kuwait. So, get ready, boys. We are very much so back in the Middle East. And what happens next? Where do we go from here? Well, strikes they're not going to stop anytime soon. I'll tell you that much. At the minimum, we are going to see Iran getting pummeled throughout the rest of the night. The question will become, how long of this waiting game is Iran willing to play? I keep talking about this. Iran understands the US has their elections coming up, and they understand our oil supply is dangerously low. They understand we're on a clock. Now, the United States is trying and doing their damn best at trying to beat the clock, essentially. So, the goal for the United States with these continued strikes is to force Iran into a peace deal before we have to, before our hand is forced, essentially. We're trying to put the ball in their court, make them decide. But the issue with this strategy is Iran doesn't function the same way the United States does. We can bomb their citizens all day. They don't care. That's not what this is about. This is a Islamic revolutionary group that is running that nation. So we can bomb the shit out of them. We can put them in a position where almost any nation in the world would be uncomfortable continuing a conflict which they are clearly losing, and losing a great deal of infrastructure and manpower to that. But Iran is in a situation where, again, it's an authoritarian regime. The voice of the people will not, and I repeat, the voice of the people will not force Iran into a peace deal. As long as there are still Islamic revolutionaries, they can continue the fight. They can get bombed all day. The pure question is, how long can their infrastructure hold? So that is the situation in Iran. What happens next? I fully assume that negotiations, despite what Trump is saying, that he has lost his patience. He is starting to believe that this is not a nation that can be negotiated with, and they need to just be they need to just be crushed. Despite that, the negotiations will certainly continue because there still won't be enough US support to do any kind of legitimate invasion. This isn't a nation where you can get a regime change by killing their leaders. We already tried that. We took out their entire command network in the very first, what was it, day? First week of the conflict, everybody was dead. Everybody in their command structure was dead. But they just kept going because there were still revolutionaries willing to go on. I mean, it's part of their culture. It's part of the Islamic culture to die in battle. It's considered to be quite honorable. So they're willing to go through these strikes. But since you can't just take out their command structure and flip the regime into something else, the only way to change the regime is to legitimately occupy the territory, which means full boots on ground, full scale invasion, and an occupation period, which will likely take a great deal of time. And that's just not an investment the United States is going to be willing to do at the moment. There's there just isn't. It's not there. That's not going to be a legitimate option. But Iran recognizes this, and that's why they're willing to put up with these strikes. So the negotiations will continue. Likely a new MOU will be formed at some point. Likely parts of that MOU will once again get broken. Likely Israel will be forced into a position where they're being told by both sides to stop occupying southern Lebanon, which is something they will refuse to do. So because the goals of each side, oh, there's three major parties, as I've been talking about, the United States, Israel, and Iran. Because the goals of these three nations are so different from each other, despite the United States and Iran being strong allies on paper, the objectives of this conflict are very different. So Iran and the United States can agree to something. Israel is going to completely disagree. because what they want is that control of southern Lebanon, and they want the Iranian regime completely overthrown. And obviously, that's never going to happen through peace talks. So we'll see. This conflict is likely going to be ongoing. Don't be surprised if it's still going on throughout the now very, very present election cycle. And don't be surprised if that election cycle is the thing that ends it. But simultaneously, this could be a war that we are in for a very, very great deal of time. But again, I don't expect any boots on the ground actively, but I fully expect these strikes to continue on and off for the next couple months. In other news, and on the topic of these upcoming elections, Graham Plattner. Yikes, man, yikes. Everything has fallen apart for him. And this is what happens when you're in that Democratic Party. A party full of snakes, a party full of backstabbers. Mm. So to give you a little background, this Plattner fella he has been in a considerable amount of controversy recently. And on Monday, a girl comes out and a former girlfriend, I believe, comes out and accuses him of sexual assault. She says that he showed up at her house drunk, forced himself on her, and that was the end of their relationship. So, obviously, being a part of the Democratic Party, being a part of the Me Too party, this is obviously going to result in what inevitably was Graham Plattner being pushed into leaving the race. Now, to give you a little background on this race, which is the main Senate race, I'm not sure if I've mentioned that yet. A major, major main Senate race, because this is a race where we have a Republican incumbent, but the Democrats have a very, very solid chance of flipping that seat this year. So they need a candidate who is going to win. But Graham Plattner, was polling at not polling, he won the Democratic primary by nearly 80% of the vote. There was no legitimate competition to this guy. But now these allegations come out. He is pushed into a position where he has to leave the upcoming race. And now the Democratic Party is taking it upon themselves to replace him. And this just is a lesson in what the Democratic Party is. I'm not going to say whether I believe these allegations are true or false, because honestly, I have absolutely no idea. I have no clue if this woman is being honest, but that's kind of the difference between the Republicans and the Democrats. Remember all that stuff that came out against Trump? Well, there's never any legitimacy to it, so the Republicans just kind of said, fuck you. And he ran and won anyways. Because, it's a party that actually has at least some expectation of legitimacy to these allegations, because I would imagine most conservative men in this nation understand what false allegations can do. And it's something that has been a major topic of debate over the last couple decades after we've seen the lives of countless men get destroyed by allegations that were later on proven to be completely bullshit. But in the Democratic Party, it works a little different. A woman says something and they treat it like it's gospel. Because, I mean, they don't have a gospel of their own. They don't have any moral truth. So why would they behave in a moral way? They don't wait for a guy to get shown whether or not it's true or not. No, he's ousted now. A guy who, again, he was running as a Democratic populist. He was on the more extremities of the left wing, and now he's booted because of these allegations. Again, the guy kind of looks kind of sleazy. I wouldn't be shocked if they were true. In no way would I be surprised if they were true. But then again, I also wouldn't be surprised at all if they were false. We've all seen the way that women behave in this feminist utopia. That's the situation you get yourself into when you do all this believe all women crap. And now Graham Plattner has fallen victim to the very believe all women movement that was started by the party that he is a part of. So congratulations there. You cucked yourself, buddy. So yeah, kind of funny, but now the Democrats are going to choose and nominate who will run, and the two leading names right now are Mr. Troy Jackson and Dan Clavin. Now, Troy Jackson is more aligned with Graham Plattner, that populist, more extreme side of the left. So he could easily get picked because he is more of a representation of what the party wants. Now, on the other side, we have Dan Clavin, also a decently radical leftist, but he's more aligned with the establishment Democrats. Wouldn't be shocked to see it go either way. Now, what we've learned from the Democratic Party is they will often tailor to the more establishment based candidate when they're choosing. I mean, look at what happened in 2024 when they chose Kamala Harris, and that was because of her establishment backing. So that is giving Dan Clavin a little bit of a lead here. Now we'll see. Maybe they learn from that and decide to go with the more populist route and Troy Jackson to try to secure this election. But again, this is going to be very major because obviously there's an expectation of somewhat of a blue wave in the 2026 elections, and we've already been seeing it with these radical leftists winning Democratic primaries across the nation. There is this expectation of a massive blue wave. But because of the seats that are actually up for election, there are a couple of races that are crucial for the Democrats to win to hit either the 50 goal or the 51, which is the official goal of the Democratic Party in this upcoming cycle. It's to hit 51 members in the Senate. And to even hit 50, Maine is almost a necessity because that is a seat that they would have to flip. I believe the big three seats are Michigan, which they need to retain, Ohio, which they need to flip, and Maine, which they need to flip. So this is massive news and will create a pretty and create a big shakeup in a race which we will see a lot of investment in. So also expect to see a significant push of investment from the Democratic Party into whatever candidate they end up choosing. And we'll see how long that takes. But it's going to have to happen. I believe they have I want to say they have about 20 days to make a decision. So we will see how that pans out. Now, finally, we also have birthright citizenship. Like I was saying before, the Supreme Court made a major decision saying that birthright citizenship it's completely protected by the Constitution. And we are already seeing firm Democrats protecting this and utilizing it, taking advantage of a clearly broken system. And this is the danger when you as a nation say anybody born in the United States is a birthright citizen. This is exactly the behavior you expect to see. This behavior I'm talking about is there was a recent breaking story where images were taken of these massive posters lined on the border of Texas and Mexico advertising birth tourism. They were saying, "Hey, come have your baby in our hospitals. This is the fee we'll charge, and you'll have your kid over in Texas." Now, why would somebody want to have their kid in Texas? Well, it's quite simple. To secure citizenship for that child in the United States for the rest of their life. For the rest of their life. How insane is that? We are the only serious nation in the world which decided that anybody born here is a U.S. citizen. And it's a complete misunderstanding of what birthright citizenship meant in the Constitution. It was purely designed for the children of slavery, the children born to slaves, for the slaves themselves. They wanted those people to have citizenship rights after they were freed following the Civil War. And now it's being taken advantage of by foreigners who are coming here and partaking in this birth tourism. Now, to give you a little bit of a background on the institution that is currently supporting this birth tourism, it's coming out of Nat Medical and the Mission Regional Medical Center. Those are the advertisements. Those are the advertisers. They're saying, come to our hospitals, have your kid. Your kid will now be a U.S. citizen. Now, those two medical institutions are both owned by the same healthcare foundation, and that foundation being Prime Healthcare Foundation. Now, give you even more. What a great meal being served up right now. The president of Prime Healthcare Foundation is a woman, an Indian woman named Kavitha Bhatia. That's the president. An Indian woman. Of course, it's a foreigner. Well, it's a foreigner who came to America, is taking advantage of our legal system to get more foreigners citizenship. There's even more to this story, though. It doesn't end there. Well, you could look at this and say, wow, it's purely just for profits. They're trying to profit off of a legal loophole in the American system. Kavitha Bhatia also happens to be a DCC member, something which is stated directly from her bio in the Prime Healthcare Foundation. Don't believe me? Go ahead, look up her bio there, find her. It's right in the text. I checked myself. It's right there. And what the DCC is it's a commission to promote Democratic candidates for the House. This could be through funding, through promotion. They essentially help with the campaigns across the nation of Democrats trying to run for the House. Now, what is a major way to gain voters for the Democratic Party? It's foreigners. It always has been. That's why they're so pro this open border policy. They want open borders because these immigrants come in and vote for the Democratic Party who promises them protection, who promise them greater rights than even American citizens receive. Oh, excuse me. But it's incredibly clear that the entire point of giving these different immigrants an opportunity and advertising to them an opportunity for birthright citizenship. It's not only for profit, but it's a scheme from the DCC to get more immigrants into red states like Texas, get their children citizenship so that they can eventually use those foreigners to flip a red state like Texas. It's a complete political medical scheme. How do we put up with this? Can we deport this woman? The institution is officially under investigation from Abbott out of Texas, so we'll see. But this woman is another traitor to the United States. Why do we allow so many traitors of our country to live here, to reside here? It's a complete joke. It's something that cannot be allowed to go on. And call me racist. I don't care. I don't give a shit. Do I look like I give a shit? No, because I actually give a fuck about the American people. In fact, I care more about my brothers and sisters of America than I do about being called things. Than I care about being disliked. I don't care. Call me what you want. I'm going to put America first until I die. And that's what we need more of in this country. People who are willing to put America first until they die. It's a ridiculous clown world we're living in right now. A ridiculous clown world. We have Indians running around, taking control of healthcare, inviting foreigners to come in here to take advantage of a loophole in our system. And we all knew that the birthright citizenship case in the Supreme Court would be a major mistake by the Supreme Court that would carry severe consequences for a great deal of time to come. Well, guess what? We already see the example. So we got these Indians running around taking advantage of our system. We got these Arabs who are making massive, massive influence in our nation. I mean, again, let's talk about Michigan. I was the other day. We have a candidate for House who is being strongly supported because he's a Muslim, and they're trying to take advantage of the Deerwood Muslim population. They are pandering to these foreigners. You have this Sneeko guy running around declaring the Islamic Republic of New Yorkistan, fucking sneaky running around doing his antics. And all of these people, they are fully allowed to stay, even though this is clearly treasonous to the United States. And they're, oh, free speech, free speech. I don't care. I don't care. All right. I am willing to do whatever it takes to put America first. Whatever it takes. Call me what you want. I don't care. I've heard it all. I have heard all of it. I don't care anymore because I'm tired of these Indians running around, these Arabics running around, these Hispanics running around, actively supporting the downfall of our nation. And it's not racist to say that I don't want them here because they support the downfall of our nation. It's just realism. We don't live in some kind of utopia where everybody gets along in every culture. We can just live together. No, no, these cultures actively hate us. This isn't a utopian society. We can't just be so positive about everything. No, it takes a level of nihilism and a level of understanding that the world is a flawed and dirty place. And you have to get rid of these people who hate us, actively hate us. This is why, like, you see Sneaky going onto the show with Myron and his brother, and he's saying that the right wing wants them deported. It's like no one's calling for Myron's deportation, even though he's a black supporter of Islam. He's a black Muslim. Nobody's calling for his deportation because he understands that this is a Christian society and he doesn't have any interest in uprooting that and taking that away. He doesn't have any interest in destroying our culture and has been quite admitted about that. But then on the other side, it's like, yeah, we don't want the Muslims who believe in converting everybody to Islam here. Yeah. So that's the situation we're in. A growing time of tension. The fire is rising. The fire is truly, truly rising. Man, that could make a great Hearts of Iron 4 mod. The fire rises. Somebody should do that. That would be pretty sick. But yeah, the fire rises. It's always rising. It's burning away, and out of the embers, a greater America shall rise. That'll be beautiful, majestic, even bigger and better. A greater American nation than the world has ever seen. I can't wait. But yeah, on the note of Sneaky, did any of you guys see those clips coming out of his debate today with Alex Jones? It's fucking hilarious. Hilarious. You got Alex Jones. Dude, that guy's the best. He's so funny. Like every clip I'm watching, it's the most I've laughed at in a very long time. He's just clowning on the guy the whole time. You can tell he doesn't take Sneaky seriously at all. So love to see it. Love to see it. So yeah, go check that out. Keep your spirits high. But I am going to start wrapping up this show now. Covered the major topics again. Iran war, pretty major stuff coming out of that. It will continue. The strikes will continue, just like I predicted. The biggest strikes yet will happen, and they did. And they did. You don't believe me? Go check out my show yesterday. I said this was going to happen. And tonight, it's just going to grow even more. And we are going to strike and bomb the shit out. In the words of Joe Biden, we're going to bomb the shit out of them all night. All night. So fully prepare for that to continue. Expect prices to continue to rise, inflation to continue to rise with oil prices, which will only continue increasing the price of energy, increasing the price of the production of all our commodities. So, yeah. Prices are going to continue increasing. Continue to prepare for that. That's definitely something major. Maine, complete shit show over there. We'll see what the Democratic Party tries to pull out of their ass. Terrible choice in a guy, I guess. It turns out that the Democrats may not be the best suited people for selecting somebody with a good head on their shoulders. Surprise, surprise. Democrats are corrupt? What? No! No! Who could have predicted that? No way! No way! Oh, so yeah. Yeah. The oyster farmer wasn't the guy. The lifetime oyster farmer. Yeah, he wasn't the guy for the people of Maine. Oh yeah. Yep, and then finally, birthright citizenship. What's new? Terrible idea, terrible policy. It's being taken advantage of both for economic and political gain. Well, well, well. And we're not going to do anything about it because the commerce on both sides is completely dependent on foreigners. Why do you think that the farmers in the Midwest are against this? These conservative Republican farmers of the Midwest are against actually deporting all the illegals. Well, guess who picks their crops? So yeah. Yep. Yep. Terrible, 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 terrible decisions across the nation continue. The nation continues to decay. The fire continues to rise. Waiting for the embers to create a new American empire, which we will be the head of. But yeah, I was saying, I gotta start ending the show. If you guys have any questions, hit me now. But yeah, so long. God bless y'all. Y'all have a blessed rest of your evening. Christ is King. And good night, ladies and gentlemen.